Hello, Legion, this is Hadrian. Thank you for being here. Let's play some more of The Long Dark in our Survival School series. So, one of these days, I'm going to start off an episode of this. We've had two in a row that have had a bit of a snafu with the opening. This is completely different, though, because it was an offline distraction. I got about 3 or 4 minutes into my first recording of this, and then my girlfriend called me. Right when I was like a few minutes into recording, so I would have had to wait like 20 minutes if I was going to finish the episode before I called back. So I decided just to stop and restart so I could check in with her. Anyway, that's what's going on with this. So if this episode is a little bit late, I apologize. I was really excited because I wanted to get these back on track with coming out at 3 sharp along with the rest of the schedule, which is back on track this week. But, life is, again, what happens when you're making plans. So let's go ahead and talk about what I'm going to be doing this episode. I'm hanging out in the snow shelter because obviously during my first attempt at starting this episode, we did pass a little bit of time. It's a few hours later than the end of the last episode. There is a blizzard going now. I ate a little bit of food, and I also repaired my gauntlets with the cured leather that I have. I can't repair my decent insulated boots because those also require cloth. And actually, incidentally, I only had 1 piece of cured leather. But what I'm going to focus on this episode is I want to answer a few questions that came up in the comments on the last one, as well as continue to clarify some of the content around wolf struggles and how you can interact with wildlife and monitor wildlife in ways that I haven't gone into detail on in the series yet. So we're going to keep kind of living off the land and hanging out kind of among the elements and try not to die. I will go ahead and eat this MRE. When you eat a food item this big, when your stomach is relatively full, as you've probably seen in the series already, actually we've managed to eat most of it. Nice. It will eat as much of it as it possibly can until you hit 2,500 calories. That's how that system works. So let's see if I can get away with just with resting for an hour. Yeah, we're not quite tired enough, so I'm going to have to pass some time. See, when I pass some time, I get the warmth bonus. So I am staying warm, thankfully. But right now, when I'm... See, this is what's happening in my snow shelter. It feels like 30 degrees even in my shelter right now because of the blizzard. So in order to warm up, I have to sleep or pass time using the bedroll. So of course, passing time, I still get the warmth bonus, which actually, to tell you the truth, what you need to do is go to rest and then pass time if you want that bonus, because if you're not using the bedroll, you won't get that benefit. So just be mindful of that. And that's, to tell you the truth, I just learned something right there about a distinction in the interface. That's not something I'd noticed before, but even if you have a bedroll, well, no, I knew that. I just hadn't necessarily articulated that in my head. Like, it's the kind of thing you learn without thinking about it consciously, because human brains are just that awesome. But now that I'm thinking about it, that is the way it works. So you want to make sure, if you are just passing time in a snow shelter like this, in this exact situation, don't do this, then pass time. Now, this is going to feel like 31 degrees right now, but again, we're going to get the bed warmth bonus, and we will stay warm in here. Still blizzardy. This is lovely. Wonderful start to this episode. Let's sleep for an hour. People have asked me if I've ever had a predator come up this high, to give me a hard time, when I'm in a snow shelter like this. Good God, this is a long blizzard. What the hell? And the answer is no. I haven't. As long as you really stay far away from patrol routes, oh my Jesus. Okay, this is... Well, I'll start this episode eventually. The world does not want me to get this episode out on time. I'm thinking right now, maybe I should just start over once this blizzard is passed, but then that's another 5 minutes delay, and again, we're trying to run on a schedule here, so let's go ahead and continue. I guess I'll just pass time again. There's nothing else I can do. Let's pass the time. Let's just say 2 hours. You can hit escape anytime the weather actually clears. There we go. All right. Thank God. Now let's see how our snow shelter's doing. When you step outside of a snow shelter after a storm like that, it's always good to take a look at it. Actually did a pretty good job of surviving. Takes a little bit of a few sticks to repair it, and that's it. And I'm not going to worry about that. Well, I could do that if I wanted to, but how long would it take? 4 minutes? You know what? Sure. Let's repair this, and we're going to leave this snow shelter here, and we might come back to it later on. But for now, where should I go? What should I do? What am I going to do with this episode now that I know what I'm going to do with this episode, but just got a little discombobulated by that blizzard. So a couple of questions that came up in the previous episode that I want to talk about. First of all, one that's related to the fact that we got into a struggle and our clothing was pretty badly damaged, especially in the case of our toque, but also our brand new deerskin pants took a little bit of a hit. Our gauntlets took a hit, which we repaired, and our insulated boots took a hit. I think also one of our outer shell, our outermost layer, took a hit. So basically all of our outermost clothing took some damage. And again, see this? This goes back to what we were talking about in episode 2, about which layer is the outermost layer. Look at which one is getting wet right now, guys. Isn't that interesting? It's this one that's the outermost layer. This is confirmation of what we were talking about earlier in the series, right here. This is the wet one. This is the one that got damaged. This is clearly the outer layer, whereas these are the outer layers here. So just confirmation of that interface weirdness that we talked about early in the series, which is that in most cases... Oh, wait, hang on, that's the clear cut. Which is that in most cases... Oh, there's some wolves, 2 wolves, actually. And a deer. All the animals want to come out and play. I have my arrow, right? There's some saplings, too. Yeah, I've got my 1 arrow. I kind of want those saplings, to tell you the truth. Those are birch saplings, I can tell because they're gray. And green saplings are maple. In case you ever wondered. I'm looking for a bear. A bear tends to hang out in this area. There's not one here at the moment, though. Okay, so as I was saying a moment ago, I'm going to go up to the top here and see if I can find supplies at the top. But there was a question that came up, a few questions that came up on the previous episode that I want to address first, now that I'm out of that, blizzard. First of all, this is a very common confusion that I actually used to suffer from in old episodes. Those of you who have been here for a long time will remember when I kind of figured this out. And I think it might have been while I was playing on YouTube. It wasn't offline play. If you do get your deerskin items or wolfskin or bearskin or moose hide, whatever, if you get those hurt in a struggle like we did with that wolf, and the wolf, of course, last episode I ended up fighting with my bare hands because I was like an idiot. I didn't practice with that screen freezing technique I was trying to use, and didn't have enough time to react to the wolf and pick the right weapon. But because of that, we fought with our bare hands and took a lot of damage. So our clothing really got hurt, and along with that, our deerskin items got hurt. And one of the questions that comes up a lot is, well, can you use your cured leather to repair deerskin? Because that just seems intuitive in some cases. Like, you've made the deerskin items, do you necessarily need the items that you used to... Hang on, is there a corpse down there? Sometimes there's a corpse when there's a backpack here, but I don't see him. Sometimes you might think you can use cured leather to repair, the animal skin items that once you've made them. And the answer is actually that you can't. You have to have deerskin and guts, or wolfskin and guts, bearskin and guts, or moose hide and guts to repair your animal hide items. Just be aware of that going forward. Also, I did have someone ask me, and this came up earlier in the series, or actually before the series even launched, when I was asking people what they wanted me to cover. People want me to talk about beachcombing, and of course there's no beach territory in Mystery Lake. So what I'm going to do with some of the final episodes is actually take us to a different zone, maybe even to a different save, and cover a few different techniques that I can't necessarily cover from here. And beachcombing will be one of them, so I will get to that eventually. But what we're going to talk about mainly this episode, once I'm confident that I've got my clothes kind of repaired, I'm kind of going to look for some cloth and maybe head back to Trapper's towards the end, because I do want to check on those animal skins that are still curing. But what I want to focus on mostly this episode is, like I said, continuing to deal with the wolves and different ways that you can interact with and detect wildlife in the Long Dark. That's kind of why I was looking for a bear too, but didn't see one. We'll get to that. Alright, so we got an archery skill guide. Very nice. Hey! Finally, water purification tablets. I can demonstrate that stuff I was talking about earlier in the series. Now, I probably don't need the reclaimed wood. I don't need to lug that around. Let's see what's on the dead guy here. Now, oh, cool, we got an MRE. I really was not expecting an MRE. There's some cloth. That's good. Can use that to repair stuff. So those of you who maybe haven't been up here since the patch might be surprised to see this destroyed lookout. There's still a lookout here, don't worry. But it's in a different location. Ragged work gloves and worn fleece mitts. Nice. And a mountaineering rope, which is a pretty constant find. We're going to talk about climbing in a coming episode. There's the new lookout. I'm going to get these rose hips as well, and then we'll head up to that new lookout momentarily.
I wonder if I can drop any of this gear.
Scrap metal. Get some crow feathers too. I'll go ahead and pick these up. How warm am I? I kind of wanted to. I kind of want this hide. I need this hide. I don't need the meat, but I need the hide. I'm gonna go ahead and take it. It's gonna attract some predators, but you know, it's fine. We need to attract predators right now. So that deer hide's mine, and other deer hide that I find, I'm probably going to try and work with as well. So we haven't climbed yet, and this would be a good opportunity to talk about climbing. So we picked up that mountaineering rope, and anytime you have a climbing rock, they always look exactly like this, okay? This is an impromptu topic here. They always look exactly like this. There's no variation in them, really, that I've noticed anyway. Notice we're no longer encumbered, because the mountaineering ropes are 11 pounds each. You can't climb when you're encumbered, so that's an important observation. I'm just going to hop on this thing. Notice that our climbing stamina is equal to our... Well, actually, no. You can see how much stamina you have when you get on, but once you start climbing stamina is a little bit different. It's determined by how rested you are. You, again, cannot even begin to climb when you're encumbered, so don't even try. If you're encumbered and trying to get away from an animal, don't try to go for a rope to escape, because it won't go well. But that was climbing down. Notice how easy that was. Let me very quickly show you what happens when you climb up. A couple of things are happening here. First of all, watch the exhaustion meter. Just watch it. I'm holding down tab right now while I climb up. You see how quickly it's going down. So you have to have, if you're attempting a long climb, you have to have one of two things, if not both. Number one, you need to have rest. And whether or not you have rest, ideally, if it's a long climb, you also need to have stopping points. Now, this is a short climb, as far as the Long Dark goes. But longer climbs will actually have ledges, and when you stop on the rope and hang like this, you can... I actually need to get down before I drop. Ooh, we might drop, actually. This might be fun. I didn't let my stamina recharge before I got back on the rope. No, we're good. We're good. But you can stop on the rope and hang like that, and if you're near a ledge, you can point to the ledge, and the game will let you hop off the ledge and rest. You can even sleep on the ledges if you have what you need, either to make a snow shelter or to throw down a... a bedroll or something, you know, in order to, you know, have enough warmth. But now we're super tired because of all that climbing. And the game is playing ominous music as if we're somehow in danger now, which we're really not, honestly. I do want to make sure that I don't walk straight into a bear's patrol route, though. So, tell you what, actually, I'm going to keep this flare out, because I've got 2 flares on me, and I haven't talked about flares and wolves yet, and I do want to talk, again, about interacting with wildlife in different ways. I don't necessarily want to get into another struggle this episode, but I will talk a little bit more about the mechanics in a second. I just want to get up to the top of this. I want to get up to the new shelter first. One of the best tracks in the game right here. pardon me while I walk up to the top. I'm going to stop talking so we can let the volume turn up and listen.
Can't afford that sprained wrist out here.
Shut up, Mark. Nice. Don't really need a new knife, but some ammo will be good. Another sewing kit. Alright, so we've arrived at the top. There's a couple of cans of condensed milk. I saw those on the way in. That's pretty nice that there's 2. And there's a fire starting book. Very nice. I think we've got a couple of skill books to read now. Nice cedar firewood, some newsprint. So what we could probably do here is just hang out for a moment. Well, I did say that I would live outdoors for a while, didn't I? So I should stay true to my word. Let's take this. And if I'm going to hang out, I want to find a place to do so out in the world. Let's break down this chair, because I'm going to need a fire for a bit. Just to make sure I'm warm enough. No. Always do that. Always open that door when I'm not going to be able to get around it. Hello, snow. We're going to get nice and wet. Let's go ahead and... Condensed milk is one of the better food items in the game, but these are both pretty low condition. I'm going to go ahead and eat these before they get any worse. Or one of them, at least. Maybe both. No, just one. I'll do the Summit sodas for the other part. That'll be good.
Feels like something is sapping my energy.
Okay, so now for a little bit of discussion on what we talked about, and this is kind of a review. You can look at the comments. I pinned a comment on the last episode, not this one, but the previous one, about the struggle types. So I just want to touch on this again because there was a little bit of ambiguity in what I was saying because, well, there's a lot of mechanics kind of in play. When you use a knife in a wolf struggle, you will have standard length struggles. The struggle length doesn't change. It's the same as with a hatchet. It's also the same as with, it might be a little bit longer if you are fighting barehanded, but you will inflict puncture wounds. And what that does is that inflicts shorter bleed out times on the wolf. So the wounds will actually kill the wolf faster. Again, like I mentioned last episode, that's the ultimate objective. If your main goal is to make sure the wolf dies as quickly as possible, not necessarily during the fight, but has the highest chance of dying soon after the fight, you want to use a knife. But again, the hatchet won't necessarily result in a change in struggle time, but it also won't necessarily result it doesn't result in longer bleed out times. It has standard bleed out times. However, there is a chance that with a slash wound, because you can, slash the throat of a wolf or something like that, that you can actually kill a wolf outright. All right, here's a wolf right here. A couple of wolves, actually. You can kill a wolf outright in a struggle using a hatchet or a slashing weapon. And then finally, again, you'll get a shorter duration if you fight a wolf with a blunt instrument. Wow, there's several wolves here. I'll tell you what, let's be risky. Let's risk pissing off multiple wolves at once here. Oh, did none of them see me? Okay, well, that wasn't risky at all, apparently. Well, it was risky, but the risk rolled in my favor. So, one of the things you can do... Alright, good. There we go. Got one. One of the things you can do when you've got a wolf on you... Wolves don't like fire. They don't like anything that burns. You can start a fire to kind of get them scared off. Even a fire that's in the midst of being started will make a wolf pause. But you can also use a flare. Now, brandishing mechanics used to be in the game. You might see some old versions of the game where you can wave the flare around like a madman or a madwoman and scare a wolf off that way. But what you can also do is if you feel like you are... Make sure I don't have another wolf nearby. If you feel like you can really throw accurately into the path of the animal chasing you, you can do this. So you just right-click. That throws the flare down. Keep the flare between you and the wolf. And it's not a guaranteed effect, but what should happen in most cases is that. Okay, no, the wolf actually crossed it. But it's a bit of a dice roll. I knew that was going to happen that way. It's a bit of a dice roll. I'm not going to try and shoot the wolf right now because I'm exhausted. That would be a terrible shot. But the wolf will sometimes pause and growl at you because they're a little bit scared, and that'll give you a chance to get away or possibly a chance to shoot the wolf. So that's one way that you can interact with wildlife. That's a little bit different. The other wolf is actually near the flare as well, ironically. Well, if I'm not going to go inside, I have to try and shoot the wolf while I'm exhausted. What does it look like when you shoot while you're exhausted? This is what it looks like. Got him anyway. Lucky shot. I'm exhausted, so that struggle wouldn't have gone well. But we can now take the wolf skin off this guy. Am I warm enough to do that? Not really. How cold is it? 22 and getting colder, so I think I should probably not attempt that. But if I'm going to stay outside, best thing to do would be to seek shelter in a cave. And there is a cave nearby, so I'll head for that cave. So we talked a little bit about climbing this episode. We talked about how you can, scare off wolves with flares. There's another way you can get a wolf to stop dead in its tracks. And that's just hitting the 3 key on the keyboard. Or actually, I've forgotten once again to have my Xbox keys pulled up, but you guys can check the comments. You guys have been really great. I appreciate it about adding in information on Xbox and PS4 controls when necessary. The button for decoys, I'm not sure if there's just a hotkey that you can use, but... But what the decoy does is it takes food from your inventory, meat or anything that would attract a wolf's attention, and it just drops it on the ground. And it will, if you're carrying a lot of meat and that's what attracted the attention of the wolf, you can put some on the ground, and that will give the wolf, something else to kind of be distracted by in that moment. Decoys are not something I use a lot. I should use them more, honestly. But typically in the long dark, I find myself not using decoys, just not being in the habit. So it's a good habit to be in because, again, it's a good way to stop a wolf in its tracks. You could even kill a wolf that way. And again, it just kind of throws an item from your inventory on the ground. A literal food item, so you can pick it back up if the wolf doesn't do anything with it. Or if you kill the wolf while it's distracted by it. Alright, now this is a bit of an unusual cave that I'm going to, in that this is one of the starting locations in Mystery Lake. This is one of the areas where you can spawn. So, as I recall, actually, I don't know that this area here is entirely even... It's not a cave in the same sense that other caves in the Long Dark are caves. you can, a lot of caves in the Long Dark, you can go far enough back to where it counts as an interior environment. I talked about curing items earlier in the series, where you can go far enough back in a cave and actually cure items the same way you can indoors, but while in a cave. This is not one of those caves. It's just kind of a covering that'll protect me from the wind and allow me to start a fire. And I should have picked up those sticks back there for that purpose, but I'll be okay. It actually might, you know, this might be deep enough. Yeah, this is Dave's quiet clearing. It might be deep enough. Where is this wind coming from? Why is this grass blowing in the wind? That shouldn't be. Is that a snare? No, it's for firewood.
To leave something behind.
No, you won't, because you're going to burn some stuff. You'll be good. All right, so we're protected from the wind. That indicator's telling me that. Right now it feels like 34 degrees, so we don't even need a fire necessarily right now, but I'm going to go ahead and start one. Let's start one way back here in the corner. Matter of fact, let's be even more particular about it. Put the fire, like... Okay, we can't put it on a slant that much. We can put it right about there. Okay, wood matches, Cato Head book, that's fine. And let's go ahead and use... No, I'm not going to use the accelerant. Let's just start the fire. And we're also at the end of this episode. So I talked about decoys. We didn't demonstrate decoys, but I'll try and do that next episode. I don't want to get involved in a struggle. I don't want to piss off too many wolves until I've got my toque repaired. So that's why I'm a little bit nervous to take that on. Even though we're playing a tutorial series, I want to take good care of my clothing items. And I feel like this is a good example for completely new players, just as far as like managing risk and not being too foolhardy when you know that you've got a clothing item that's kind of on the verge of being ripped to shreds. Because once it's ruined, it's ruined. You can't repair it past a certain point. Okay, let's go ahead and throw down some firewood. I picked up several pieces of it. This will keep us plenty warm. And I have some books that I can read, actually, for this time. But what I'm going to do mainly right now, just not only to pass some time and recover a little bit, but also to go ahead and make a save point for us to end the episode on, is we're going to sleep for about, how long do I have in the fire? 5 hours, 38 minutes? Let's go ahead and add these sticks too, so we have over 6 hours. Let's sleep for 5. Fire's protected from the wind, so it should stay burning and be burning when we get up. There it is. Okay, I'll go ahead and stop this episode here. Looks like it's actually pretty nice outside. We might go exploring the moment I begin the next recording. But for now, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to follow along. New episodes are coming out every day at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.